Hey everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Ultimate Comics Podcast. My name is Nabeel Gaber, and I'm one of your hosts.
I'm Josh, the other host.
And this is the podcast where we talk about Ultimate Marvel, an imprint of Marvel Comics that began in the year 2000 that was meant to modernize and reimagine Marvel and its characters for the 21st century. So they started a whole new line of comics with titles such as Ultimate Spider-Man, Ultimate X-Men, The Ultimates, Ultimate Fantastic Four. You get the idea. Every episode, Josh and I will talk about a handful of issues, just going in order through all of the original Ultimate Universe. And we just talk about the story, what we like, what we might not like so much, what holds up still, what hasn't aged so well, and just overall how these stories impact Marvel and the comics, along with other media such as TV, movies, animation, and also just like a big difference between the original Marvel comics and how they adapted it into this new Ultimate line of comics. We like to dive into that. And some episodes we don't even talk about it. Some episodes we just talk about other random comic book stuff that we feel like, because we like being flexible.
We were talking about this, but possibly coming soon, a retrospective on Arrow, a
Yeah.
retrospective on the DC animated universe, the ultimates of the DC universe.
I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say that, but
I feel it was like I'm watching this guy named Serum, like, and if he ever wants to be on this show, along with any other people want a cameo, they're always welcome to email us
yeah.
or read our emails.
Yes, definitely. Our
Yeah,
email is ultimatecomicspodcast@gmail.com. That's
comics.
comics plural, podcast singular. I got to do it this time. Ultimatecomicspodcast@gmail.com. I'm giving you a break this time, Josh.
But I was gonna say, like, learning just like how much of Batman and DC lore actually comes from the DC animated universe rather than DC Comics, or what was in DC Comics, but they really just made it so they could beat DC animated universe and making it first. It really is just like a lot of updated takes on DC that kind of Ultimate Marvel kind of did for Marvel, because Ultimate Marvel didn't do too many reboots because it's like Marvel has the never reboot system, basically.
Okay, all right. I see what you mean. I see the similarities there. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like just in the
yeah,
same way that Ultimate Marvel has some ideas and characters that were brought over into the mainstream Marvel universe, the DC
yeah.
animated universe has characters and ideas that were moved into the mainline like DC Comics.
Yeah, with each new reboot.
Yeah, yeah. Whichever like continuity is the mainstream continuity of that time, that year.
I think DC reboots too often. I'm like, look, 10 years, 15 years, 20. That's a great reboot timeline. You don't need to reboot every other year now. No one keeps track of it. No one can.
Yeah,
Especially because I'm pretty sure it's for money.
continuity, it's just kind of a vibe really with DC. Just like whatever you feel like, that's canon, I guess. I don't know. Don't worry about it.
Marvel, if I pull up a wiki page for Spider Man on my phone, it crashes. So reboot.
Yeah, well, Marvel prides itself on never rebooting, and you gotta admire them a little bit for that, despite like some people just saying maybe we should at this point
We
with Marvel,
should.
but
I think Marvel, as long as you don't do it every other year, you're fine. Like, it doesn't make sense that the Fantastic Four met Nixon.
well, they have a sliding time scale too that kind of like allows stories to shift a little bit and change just depending on what time period we're in and like what era the comics are being published in.
Someone born when some of these comics were written is now like in their mid 20s.
Oh, like the Ultimate comics. I thought you were gonna say like the '60s Marvel comics, and I was like, that's not true at
No,
all.
people who were born when the 60s comics came out, some of them have passed away from old age already.
Oh, that's so sad.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Galapagos tortoise, where like we don't really know how long it lives, and we're like, why not? It's like no one who studies them lives long enough.
Well, anyways, yes, on a lighter note, yeah, the comics we're reading today, for example, were published 20 years ago, literally, like 2006. It is now 2026.
Yeah,
We're talking about Ultimate Spider-Man issues 86 through 90, the Silver Sable arc. And yeah, I think this is a great example of how Marvel does not reboot, but they start lines like Ultimate Marvel to kind of make things a little bit more accessible for new readers who don't want to get confused by decades of continuity and all the backstory and history you have to read about the characters. I'm personally a fan of that, so like that got me into comics, but The prime example of what we're talking about today is Ultimate Spider-Man, which most people will agree is like the best thing to come out of Ultimate Marvel, because a lot of it hasn't really aged super well, but Ultimate Spider-Man,
It's the least political of all of them, I feel.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's the least like of its time. I feel like
Yeah.
everything else is very of its time, and it is kind of more edgy and gritty, and everyone's in black leather, and there's a lot going on with the government and the military, and a lot of, like you said, political stuff, Josh, that had to do with like the time, like Bush era, post 9/11.
And the fashion.
Yes, and the fashion. Yes, Josh always loves to talk about the fashion.
I think it's a good way to tell eras apart. And Ultimate Spider-Man generally is like a kid dressed up as Peter Parker that with the same hairstyle. It's the same thing as a kid would wear now. Like Peter and whoever is the younger model now dresses the same way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, like a lot of the 2000s fashion is very prevalent when you read Ultimate Spider-Man, so they didn't fully escape from that one.
Maybe it's just a guy thing where guys' fashion has been a bit more stable.
Yeah, for the most part, it doesn't really change. Most guys, we put very little effort into what we wear.
Yeah.
I will count myself in that company because I'm like, put me in a t-shirt and jeans and I'm good.
I love how, like, for women, you could go like, oh, it's this time era by looking at her dress or what she wore. And I'm like, for a guy, you go like, I don't know, last 300 years is wearing a suit and tie.
I mean, he's like a skater boy, so maybe that's pretty like 2000s, and like, I don't know.
Whoa,
He's like
whoa,
a punk
whoa.
rocker. Yes, he is.
Skating and punk rock are still a thing.
I think because the 2000s are coming back, but
No, they've
It's
always
coming-
been a thing. They were a thing in college, or maybe it's just like a California thing that we're like a few years
Could
behind
be.
the times. I did find the Ultimate Avengers. We read it. We just didn't get it. It's like it's very old. And then like times changed. It's very situational. The political stuff in some of the Ultimate comics were like it really only makes sense within a certain era and time
Yeah.
frame. And you have to change how like whether it's 2026 or 2000. You really have to change like your mindset when reading it.
Right. But with Ultimate Spider-Man, what's great is that this feels like just classic, quintessential Spider-Man stories, just good old-fashioned Spider-Man tales.
Yeah.
And I think you get a lot of that in this arc, which introduces Silver Sable, who is a very big supporting character's friend slash foe. She's a mercenary, so she kind of toes both sides of that line.
She's like Elektra, but with guns.
Yeah, and she also comes from another fake country, Simcaria, and she's a platinum blonde, just like Black Cat. So there's a lot of different elements thrown in there. Classic, like femme fatale.
I did not
Marvel
know she was
elements.
platinum blonde. I just thought she had white hair.
I mean, that's what that is, platinum blonde, like Black Cat, white hair.
You know, white hair is one of those things where it's like the domino mask you and I were talking about. It works in comics, but if someone really at the age of 20 had all white hair, you go like, that's a bit odd.
Yeah. It
doesn't
really
look
just makes
right.
them stand out visually, since comics are a visual medium. But you put them in a real life setting, and you're like, that's not something everyone would have. But it makes them stand out as characters here.
A bit of white hair is fine. If you're old and you have white hair, that's also fine.
Yeah,
if you're
of course.
20
No shame
and
in
all
that.
white hair, and have like just this pure silver white hair, you go like, is that a wig?
Well, happened to Steve Martin, so
Really?
he grayed pretty young. Anyways,
Yeah.
but let's just get started. We've dallied long enough.
Yeah.
Issue 86 of Ultimate Spider-Man opens up on the Department of Damage Control assessing a situation at Roxxon. And what's really funny is the Department of Damage Control is literally made up of like the Wrecking Crew, who in the main universe of Marvel, the Wrecking Crew are 4 different villains that they're powerhouses. They fight like Thor or the Avengers most of the time. So it's like the Wrecker, Bulldozer, Pile Driver, Thunderball. And it's really funny here. They have their name tags on, but they're in their orange suits and they're just members of the Department of Damage Control. And I think it's hilarious that the Wrecking Crew is part of the damage control, like taking care of things. Like they're cleaning up, actually.
Maybe they're prisoners. Look, when you arrest a bunch of supervillains, not all of them are going to be good for Black Ops mission. Some of them are just really good at construction and cleaning up trash.
They're like, what's the worst punishment we could give the Wrecking Crew? We actually have to make them clean up the messes. They're like, no, please, anything but that. Like, that's right. The Wrecker, you got to go clean up that destroyed building. All right, Pile Driver.
Doorman, let's just say you arrest Doorman.
Yeah.
You go like, hey, Doorman, what's Doorman really good for? You could work at a government building being a door.
He's like, oh, damn it. Okay, fine.
I
You
also
win.
think like this. I think this influenced MCU because Damage Control is a joke in the comics, it's mainline comics, and Damage Control is like a serious deal in the MCU now.
Yeah, they work for the feds in the MCU. I think they're like partnered with like Tony Stark and everything in the MC.
They're like a offshoot of Shield, and they're kind of sometimes an Ice analog. I feel in the MCU.
Yeah, which is like they're scary and like pretty shady in the MCU. In the main comics, they are mainly just there to clean up the messes after the fight.
And it seems here they're kind of taking the role where like they're cleaning up the messes, but they're like not a joke, but like they are just like affiliated with Shield in this one, like they were
Yeah.
in the end of the Battle of New York in the MCU. So
Yeah, that's right. When they showed up at the beginning of Spider-Man Homecoming.
yeah, screwed over those construction workers. You
Yeah,
tell those unions.
no wonder the Vulture was created. But then the Roxxon guy is explaining to the wrecking crew that like what happened because there's like this giant ship that docked at the Roxxon port, and as soon as it docked, it like exploded, and emerging from the fire and the wreckage of this ship is Omega Red, who is a classic Wolverine villain. I mean, X-Men
Soviet
villain, but
cannibal.
mainly Wolverine. Yeah, yeah. He's like a Soviet Weapon X experiment slash vampire, like energy vampire.
Look, if the Canadians can make Wolverine, why can't the Soviets also have a gross Wolverine?
Yeah, like somehow even more disgusting than Wolverine and also even more bloodthirsty and violent.
And I love how in the Ultimates, like this is after the collapse of the Soviet Union, like we're still discovering stuff of those old Soviet like weird laboratories in Kazakhstan and Estonia. I love how the Soviet answer to everything the Shield does is do the same thing, but make it disgusting.
Yeah. They're like, we actually want, instead of claws, tentacles. And they'll wrap themselves around the victim and drain their life force. And we have to make him white and like have like red eyes.
And instead of kid diddling, he eats kids.
Yeah, I'm like, I guess I don't know if that's better. I don't yeah, like
Either way, if you're a kid in a school, you are not safe with either of these people.
no, you're screwed either way.
I will say, like, haven't we seen Omega Red in an Ultimate X-Men comic yet, or no?
I feel like we did. We've just read so much like Ultimate X-Men at this point that we should probably look this up while we talk about it, but
Because
I'm
Ultimate
gonna
X-Men,
see.
it's like X-Men in the 616. You just go through a lot of mutants. Every once in a while, you just rip through them.
Yeah, I'm sure this is just like a small cameo by Omega Red here.
Yeah.
But let's see when he first appeared. Let's see. No, this is his first appearance in Ultimate.
Oh,
We
really?
haven't seen him yet. Yeah, must be confusing him with another Weapon X experiment or supervillain. But yeah, not Wolverine. Omega Red attacks the Roxxon dock, and then Spider-Man shows up to save the day, leading to a fight ensuing. Plenty of fun quips. Thank you, Bendis. I always love your quippage.
Works great for Spider-Man. We will always agree on that.
Yeah, love his voice for Spider-Man. And he shows up, saves the day, he wins the fight. And then Shield apparently, according to the Roxxon guy, like came and picked up Omega Red and took him away.
We're gonna go through this a bit later. I feel if this was earlier, Peter Parker would have struggled against Omega Red. Omega Red would have thrashed him a bit, and
Yeah.
Peter would have like won with his wits. In this one, he just thrashes him. Spider-Man
Yeah.
just beats him. Like he's matured. He's gotten a lot stronger. He went to
Yeah.
the gym, got strong.
Yeah, he's a big boy now. He
Yeah.
got buff, he got strong. I mean, this is issue 86 of Ultimate Spider-Man, and what I love about this series is you kind of see, even though technically this all takes place, like this whole series takes place over the course of like a year or two or something crazy, but like you really see him grow as a hero, and you really see Peter kind of like showing his stuff more and more as he learns, as he faces like experiences that teach him the hard way, and he gets better at what he does, which is
Yeah.
really cool.
It's been 7 years. If an Ultimate Spider-Man comic one is supposed to be made every month, it's been 7 years of Ultimate Spider-Man so far, theoretically.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we read
So-
7 years of comics, man.
Hell yeah, baby.
Yeah.
We're in it for the long haul. Let's make it to Ultimatum. But yeah. Roxxon then makes a call, hiring a shadowy figure to go find this Spider-Man person and see if he knows why their cargo was blown up by Omega Red in the first place. See if Spider-Man knows anything since he came in to save the day. And so it's revealed the person he called to hire was Silver Sable. This is the big character that's getting introduced for this arc. And she and her Wild Pack, which in the main universe, Silver Sable's a mercenary and her gang is called the Wild Pack, which I love. They
Yeah.
spend a month like tracking Spider-Man, and it shows like over the course of that time, just like they keep losing him in one way or another.
And the Wild Pack are kind of creeps.
Yeah, because they track him finally to Midtown High, and they're not sure, which is really funny, if he's like a teacher or if he's a student, like, but they know that he's there somewhere.
I actually like this idea that like you're not sure if it's a teacher or a student because you go like, well, he has a high voice, but there's no way he's a kid.
Like, he
like,
could be a young teacher, right? There's no way
Yeah.
this is just a teenager. This is not a high school student, right? Right?
I'd rather be beaten up by a gym teacher than a high school.
Like, it's embarrassing if, like, we're constantly getting our asses handed to us by, like, a 16-year-old.
But like, it is a good point where like I always wonder. I was like, well, as a kid when you read this, I'm like, when they know, like I look very different from a teacher, and then like some teachers look young. He's a 23-year-old kid.
Yeah, they're like student teachers.
I was a student teacher, but you could be a full-on licensed teacher at 21, depending on when you graduate. So
it's a very reasonable assumption to be like, maybe he's just a young teacher there.
The fucking gym teacher's coming over and beating the crap out of us.
Yeah. Yeah, good thing he didn't bring the dodgeballs with him. We'd be in real trouble.
It's like, oh no, Spider-Man's the football coach. He's training an army of a team of Spider-Men.
Yeah, they brought their gear. Oh no, we're being treated like tackling dummies.
And you know, some of them are a little creepy. They're like, them high school hotties. And one that literally, to be fair, goes like, you really got to stop saying that.
Yeah, like don't say that. These are high schoolers. Like, do your job, be a professional. I know you're a mercenary, but like, have some class.
Mercenaries have class.
Yeah,
I think that's how the video goes.
Don't creep after high school students.
I will say, like, it's one of those weird things where, like, for some reason in the 2000s, if you watch stuff, it's treated as okay, and people go like, "Oh, Ashton Kutcher goes like, it was a different time back then." I'm like, is it?
That doesn't.
It was
make
illegal
okay.
then.
Yeah,
and also, like, if you did what you did in 2000, it's the same legal consequence. The law didn't change.
It was wrong then. It's wrong now.
Yeah.
Age is not just a number.
It's like the law system hasn't changed around that. If anything, it's, I guess it got a little tighter, but I'm like, don't say like I'm more regressive than the American justice system, okay? That's not a good...
Yeah, that's not what you want to hear. Those aren't the words you want to hear coming out of your own mouth.
Yeah.
What's really funny is then they see Spider-Man duck into an alley behind the school, and so they're like, oh, we got him now. So the Wild Pack seemingly corners someone in the alley behind the school. They tase him, they knock him out. They like bring him back to their headquarters, and it seems like they've really gotten him now. And they're like, all right, yeah, he's like 16. He's just an ordinary kid. He's got a job after school. His grades suck. And I'm like, oh, damn, they snatched Peter Parker. And then they take the hood off of him at their headquarters.
Chad Thompson.
Flash Thompson.
Tomato potato.
Chad Thompson.
Look,
it's Flash Thompson.
It's more believable if it's Flash Thompson because he's buff, he's an athlete, while Peter's like this little twinkish nerd.
Which is why it's so funny. Because, like, in my head, I'm like, there's no way it's Peter Parker. And I think it was so funny it was Flash. This is actually a recurring trope, is like people mistaking Flash for Spider-Man. It goes all the way back to the early days, the Ditko Lee Spider-Man issues. Amazing Spider-Man #5, one of my favorites, because it's when Spider-Man fights Dr. Doom. And Flash dresses up as Spider-Man as like a prank to kind of like try and scare him and surprise him as like a joke, just to like entertain the other kids. But before he can pull it off, Dr. Doom is looking for Spider-Man. He sees Flash in the Spider-Man costume, knocks him out, and like abducts him and holds him hostage and tells the Fantastic Four to like come and get him, which is so funny. Like, it goes all the way back to that. And that's the real Spider-Man has to save him. But like ever since then, it's been a recurring trope in Spider-Man comics, Spider-Man media. Like, people are like, Flash Thompson, of course, it had to be. You're like the jock, you're the athlete, you're the high school quarterback.
If I was Spider-Man, I would have shown up to Flash Thompson's house and was like, hey man, you're a fan of me. Here's an exact same replica of my costume. Now go ahead and fight crime, and I'll use him as a decoy. Like when that kid with the bomb exploded in that Vision comic.
You would let him die?
I'm not gonna say I'll let him die, but I'm like, he's a bully. The bad guy's distracted from me to do the real work. I'm like, 2 stones, 1 bird.
2 stones? What? No, it's 2 birds, not 2 stones.
Well, Chuck Norris, R.I.P. Maybe not the best moral character, but he could kill 2 stones with 1 bird. You never heard that one?
I don't have time to unpack how that makes no sense. Holy shit, Josh. Why would you you can't kill whatever. I can't. I don't have time to explain this.
But I will say in the animated series, it's the other way around because they do find Peter Parker in his costume. Dr. Octopus is like, it can't be Peter Parker. He's a nerd.
Yeah, and that was literally another early issue when like Peter Parker goes to fight Doc Ock, but he's sick, but he has to fight him because he's holding Betty Brant hostage. And Doc Ock's like, why is this fight so easy? And then in front of like J. Jonah Jameson and everyone, they unmask him and they're like, it's not Spider-Man, that's just Peter Parker.
Mhm.
Like no one could believe it was him. Yeah.
Was it 616 or was it the anime series that revealed that like Peter Parker and Dr. Octopus had this previous relationship? Which one was it? Which one did
I think
it
that
first?
started with the animated series. Was
Yeah.
like making that connection that like, oh yeah, you taught me at like summer camp when I was a little kid at science camp.
Yeah. But
Anyways.
look, just saying it's believable if it's
Yeah.
Flash.
Yes, it's believable that it's Flash, but the Wild Pack starts interrogating him, and Flash is like, is this a prank? Like, what's going on? And then it's very quick, though. It's very clear very quickly that this is not Spider-Man. So Silver Sable like knocks him out and says to her Wild Pack, like, this is not him. We got the wrong guy. Like, that's how issue 86 ends. They're like, nah, that is not him.
I will say they knock him out with a taser. In the original Spider-Man, Tinker shoots him with a death ray, and that just knocks him out. So
Peter's just built different.
Yeah, the taser shouldn't work. And also, I know they were kind of going on why. Like, this is a lot of effort just to talk to Spider-Man, tracking him down, and like...
Yeah, these mercenaries really like are intense. They gotta like, I don't know, pick up a phone, maybe look him up. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like send out a signal in the sky.
But the CEO is not like, I want Spider-Man dead. He goes like, I just want to know what he knows. And his first reaction is, we gotta kidnap him. I'm like, that's a bit excessive when there's better ways. The other superheroes figure out how to talk to him.
Better safe than sorry. He's a dangerous menace, according to J. Jonah Jameson. We should probably just kidnap him just to be sure.
Yeah. The next issues with MJ, for once, is a sad one. Because for once, she's not the one who moved on. Peter is. And Peter has that lovey-dovey look that guys always have when they're with someone new.
Yes.
And MJ's pissed.
Yeah.
She's the one in her mind that should have moved on with another guy, not the other way around.
Yeah, she's thinking like, what's he so happy about? He dumps me and he looks so happy. And I think this is really funny because meanwhile, Peter is daydreaming about Kitty Pryde, who he just started dating in the past Spider-Man annual.
Yeah.
And he's like also caught up in his thoughts and the usual Peter Parker stuff about like, how do I tell Aunt May about her? How does that work? She's a mutant and an X-Man, and like I'm so close to like almost revealing my identity to her because like there have been too many close calls. So there's a lot of like fun like internal monologue going on for a lot of these characters.
Yeah. And also, I just want to say it's hypocritical that MJ is pissed, but she once moved on with that band dude with the in that limousine or whatever. So
yeah, I mean, she kissed him once, and then she was like, "Sorry, but my heart belongs to Peter Parker." And then he's like, "What's so special about him?" And she's like, "Everything."
Yeah, but she still moved on faster. Just saying.
Yeah, but it didn't last. He is like now in a stable relationship with a new girl.
Yeah. Back in with Chad Thompson, Silver Sable's pissed. She's like, "We got the kid. You guys are stupid. We're gonna have to go on the move." And then one of the guys goes, I can't get plastic surgery again." I'm like, "Oh, you guys are intense."
Yeah.
But
they go into full panic mode. I'm like, how many times has this happened where you've nabbed the wrong guy and you have to go into hiding and get plastic surgery?
Especially because we see Silver Sable when she's young later on. She did not do plastic surgery. It's like the scene from 21 Jump Street was like, "We're so intense, we got tattoos on our dicks," and the other guy goes, "Oh no, that was a joke."
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny thinking about, did she just make the rest of the Wild Pack get like plastic surgery while she was like, "No, I'm fine. No one's gonna recognize me.
I'll keep my distinctive hair as well."
Yeah, I'm like, you're the most recognizable out of everyone. Why would you? Anyways.
Yeah.
But the flashback also reveals that when Spider-Man dropped into that alley right before he was seemingly caught, he saw Flash just standing in the alley, like having a snack. He was just like eating a chocolate bar.
Knowing Flash, he probably smoked weed in the back, drank a little, and is like trying to get off his high.
He's got the munchies.
Yeah.
And so Peter just like sticks to the wall and then waits for Flash to leave, but then Flash just walks down the alley and the Wild Pack is like, it's him. and they caught him.
It also shows just how much Peter had grown in terms of his skills, and that the Wild Pack's been after him for a bit, and they just can't catch him because it's too fast.
Yeah,
If this was earlier, they would have quite easily caught him, but now he's just
probably.
way too speedy. He's got the
He's
sauce.
been really good about protecting his identity, and I think he's also like learned a lot from the fact that quite a few people have learned his identity before when he wasn't careful. So now he's like getting better about being like uber careful.
I also don't even think he was dodging them on purpose. He just did it naturally.
Yeah, because he didn't want Flash to see him.
Yeah.
And the Wild Pack is arguing, and they're like, should we kill this kid? Like, what do we do? And while they're like arguing and bickering amongst each other, Flash actually wakes up and makes a run for it. He's like really good at, because like first he like pushes everyone so they all topple on each other, and he runs for it. I'm like, damn, way to go, Flash. That's our high school quarterback.
Yeah.
Good moves.
Like Flash Gordon, was that the movie where like the football player's in space and he just uses his football moves to just gouge everyone? Great movie. Well, not a great movie, but a fun movie.
Yeah. And then Silver Sable and the Wild Pack run outside, and they're like, damn it, because they lost him. And then back at the school, Kitty shows up to surprise Peter after school.
She's disguised with sunglasses.
Which is not really a disguise at all. Yeah, that's nothing.
Well, I will say, like, the glasses is not the worst disguise because people do look different. It does disfigure the face a bit. And, like, I don't know, the actor for Superman, Henry Cavill, in front of his poster, just walked around with, like, a hat and glasses. And he said, no one recognized me. So I think the disguise works. And Kitty isn't exactly super famous, so
yeah, she's not the most famous of the X-Men, so it's probably fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, Peter just decides to ditch work for her here, so they have like a cute scene together where they decide to like go off and have their like teen romance adventures.
Yeah.
And MJ sees them leaving and is shook. Like the look on her face to see Peter with another girl, and it's so funny.
Yeah. And I'm like, MJ, you hypocrite.
You snooze, you lose. On.
Yeah.
On the news, though, there's a whole report on how like Flash escaped custody when he was like captured by the Wild Pack, and how he fled to like the police station and reported the incident to them. Well, first he found his mom, and then they reported this to the police. And the sheriff on the news is calling Flash a hero.
Is it a sheriff? It's probably just a police captain, no?
No, they called him the sheriff here.
Oh. That's weird because
New
York City sheriffs only investigate financial crime.
Huh. Well,
Fun
I guess
fact.
Bendis didn't know that. And neither did Marvel Editorial, because nobody caught that.
Yeah.
And the Wild Pack is like watching at a bar, and they're like, God damn it. And Sable approaches Mr. Roxxon himself and is like, listen, my reputation is everything. I know we screwed up, but we will finish this job for free. And I'm like, damn, all right.
Good company policy. Who says HR is dead or customer relations is dead?
Yeah, exactly. Like, money back guarantee. I swear to God, we will still get this done.
Mr. Roxxon's a little pissed. And I'm kind of thinking, like, this is a lot just to talk to Spider-Man, but, you know.
He gives her 3 days to do this, and then he's sending someone else in to clean this up. And I'm like, all right, he really wants this done. And it's really funny. Yeah, like you said, he's intense about it, but they don't even want to kill Spider-Man. They just want to bring him in to ask him questions.
I'm just saying, the X-Men figured out how to talk to him, so, you know, it's not that hard.
It's not, no.
Just
the X-Men also swapped his body with Wolverine, so they also... But yeah, Peter is hanging out with Kitty after school, and they're just hanging out in like Peter's room, and he's telling her about like, you know, fighting the rhino, and she's like eating it up. She thinks it's so cool, and he's like, wow, really? No one else would probably think that's cool. Like, I just think it's crazy. And then MJ calls while he's hanging out with Kitty, and she's like, are you watching TV? And he's like, no. And then she can immediately tell that he's with Kitty, I guess, because of that. So she hangs up.
Which is appropriate.
Yeah.
She doesn't want to come between them.
It's so abrupt, though. It's like, are you watching TV? He's like, no. She's like, devastated. He's not watching TV. He must be with another girl.
Well, it's appropriate. Like, they just broke up. You don't want to really put too much tension ASAP. But on the TV is Flash on the Today Show talking about, they kidnapped me, thinking I was Spider-Man.
And what's really funny is they call him Fred Thompson here. In the main universe, his full name is Eugene Thompson. So now he's Fred Thompson. Minor difference, but I find it funny. They also call him Freddy on the news, which I find really funny because Flash isn't tougher or more intimidating. Either way.
I mean, you don't name a kid Flash.
That's true. But then, yeah, the camera crews are all at Midtown High, and you see them like interviewing everyone there, like Liz Allen and Kong, and they also interview the principal. And I caught that the principal's name was Ross Andrew, which is a really good reference and Easter egg because that's talking about Ross Andrew, I feel is a very underrated Spider-Man artist from the 70s. He did like Amazing Spider-Man with Jerry Conway, and I thought his art was fantastic. I think he's like an iconic Spider-Man artist. So that's a good Easter egg there.
And the police and the reporters go like, yeah, Spider-Man's probably a teacher here, while a kid in the interview goes like, yeah, everyone knows Spider-Man goes to school here.
Yeah, it's really funny. But Peter and MJ are then like at school and they're watching this like as they're going to school and they talk about it and he's like, yeah, this is not good. Like I've got to lay low for a while other than like obviously finding out who kidnapped Flash and why because like he feels responsible for that because they kidnapped him thinking he was Spider-Man. So they're like, all right, he's like, I gotta find him and find out what's going on. And it's a nice moment of like Peter and MJ, they like start laughing about like Flash probably getting rich off of this whole story and about just the idea of Flash being Spider-Man and also like joking and being like, yeah, he was probably crying when they caught him and so it's a nice like moment of like Peter and MJ kind of reconnecting just as friends even and just that connection they had before. I really like that. And it feels like a natural, organic moment of like two exes kind of forgetting about like tensions and forgetting about how things have been for a while and just kind of like falling back into that habit of like, oh yeah, this is what I love about you and this is why it was easy to talk to you.
Yeah. Like that scene when after Paul and everything, Peter goes back to his friend and is revealed to be MJ.
I don't want to talk about Paul, man.
He'll be back.
I doubt it. I hope not.
He's in the MCU now, officially.
Yeah, but it's not Pete Davidson, so you can't always get what you want.
No, but it would have been funny if it was.
Yeah, it would have been so funny. Oh my god. But yeah, things get really tense in this conversation, though, when MJ admits that she knows that Peter had company when she called, and that's why she hung up. And then she uses the R word, and she's like, I'm not... And she's trying to say I'm not stupid, okay? But she uses the R word, and I'm like, okay, all right, not okay.
Not okay. Different time. People didn't know it was wrong, especially kids. Just watch South Park from back then.
Yeah, that's a big oof. But yeah, so she storms off after that, and Peter, of course, is beating himself up over the situation about like not telling MJ about her, and also about how he feels kind of like a jerk. But he's also like, all right, but like I can be with Kitty because she has powers, like she can't be hurt. And I'm like, man, well, are you with her because you like, really like her? Or are you with her just because she can't be hurt and you don't have to worry about her, man?
Well, those aren't mutually exclusive, to be fair.
That's true. It's probably a little bit of both. But like, I'm sure if push came to shove, he would probably rather be with MJ if she couldn't be hurt.
Yeah.
But then the issue 87 ends with Peter being stopped for a random bag check by the police. Yeah, I'm like, oh shit. You got your suit in there, boy.
Yeah. But issue 88, nothing comes of it because right at that moment, another kid dressed up as Spider-Man reveals himself to the whole world, promoting his band, the Molten Men.
There's a kid running around in a Spider-Man costume just going, it's me, I'm Spider-Man. And it is Mark Raxton, the guy who we referenced earlier who MJ went on a date with. He is the singer of the Molten Men, like in the Molten Man band. And he's like, yeah, come see us at the Ramita on Friday night. At the Ramita, like John Romita, senior and junior, two legendary Spider-Man artists. And so it's such a funny way of Peter like to escape. Like, thank you, Mark Raxton, the Molten Man.
But also, I'm thinking, look, maybe that's why MJ, she not just moved on from Peter, she moved on to a bad boy guitar player who's older and also a Spider-Man.
Yeah, but like seeing him in this goofy ass Spider-Man outfit running around screaming, like it kind of ruins the illusion of like a bad boy guitar player. You're like, oh, this guy's kind of a doofus.
Whoa. Some people like that. Adam McKay.
Yeah.
Great director. Dirty Mike and the Boys?
But yeah, Peter runs for it and he panics and he's like hiding in an alley and he's figuring like, oh man, my life as Spider-Man is over. And he beats himself up again because he's like, I wasn't careful enough and now everyone's going to know and Aunt May's going to know and everyone, and like, when am I going to tell her?
So he decides to tell her. He tracks her down at her random job to tell her.
Yeah. And this is a huge moment because I really was like, oh, is he actually going to, because I've read Ultimate Spider-Man before. But I was still like, oh my gosh, because he goes to Aunt May's work and he's literally about to confess that he's Spider-Man, and I'm like, oh shit, what's gonna happen? I
What
totally
even is
forgot
her
it.
job? She's at a cubicle. I
Yeah,
forget
I
what she
don't even,
does.
like a social worker or something like that. So I don't
Let's make
know.
sense. She is a former hippie. Is their big thing? So why not?
Yeah. But Aunt May then says, like, because he's literally trying to say he's Spider-Man, but Aunt May's like, don't worry about Spider-Man. Spider-Man is a coward and a horrible person. And Peter's like, and she's like, yeah, I've been seeing a therapist. Maybe you should like go talk to somebody because, and I'm like, damn, maybe next time, Peter.
It's
It totally backfired.
it's also funny because is like, oh, this thing that goes on with me and Uncle Ben and the Captain guy. And by the way, Spider-Man's a coward too because he wears a mask.
Yeah, I'm
Heroes
like,
don't wear
ooh,
masks.
someone's been reading too much of the Daily Bugle. My God.
It's a respectable piece of journalism.
When
I
they're
know
not
the
talking
Daily.
about Spider-Man.
To be fair, the Daily Bugle is pro-mutant for some reason.
Yeah, they're very progressive on mutant rights and activism and everything. They're like so liberal and like left leaning on so many things. And then Spider-Man comes up and J. Jonah Jameson's like, lock him up.
Like I know Ultimate J. Jonah Jameson is a little different. I just love the idea that like 616 J. Jonah Jameson and even the Raimi Jameson is just like this progressive, brave journalist who's like progressive on like Native Americans,
Yeah.
minorities, police violence, mutants, and he just hates Spider-Man.
Yeah, like original like 60s like Stan Lee era J. Jonah Jameson, he stands up to like white supremacists and racists and he like stands up for Joe Robertson, his editor, a black man against a white supremacist and is like, get the fuck out of here.
Even in the 2000s and 90s, there's always scenes where he goes like he checks his white male privilege, as they say.
Yeah, but Spider-Man, he will not budge.
It's just funny.
Anyways, yeah,
We all are allowed
it's
to have one thing we're allowed to hate if you're that
one.
progressive.
Yeah, I guess so. You have one problematic take, but back at his place, Peter is talking on the phone to Kitty, and he's like, I don't know what to do now. And Kitty's like, no, you'll know when the time is right to tell Aunt May. Sometimes it takes a while. It took me a while to tell my parents I was a mutant, and
But
things
she
like
didn't tell
that.
them. She just fell out
Yeah,
of a hole.
they found out, yeah, because she fell through the floor. So she's like, it just happens in its own time.
Yeah, but I was like, Kitty, good advice. A little hypocritical, but good advice.
Yeah, I guess.
See, that's why she's better than MJ. She's already giving better advice.
I mean, MJ gave him good advice
I
too.
don't remember any advice she gave, so
Convenient.
yeah.
But she also gives really good advice on his life as Spider-Man because she's like, you should take the fight to Silver Sable if this is really a problem.
Yeah.
Like, you should be more proactive and like go find her and her wild pack. And what's really funny is during this call, she's like constantly kicking Iceman out of her room because he keeps trying to like bust in. And I don't know what he wants, but like, it's really
Probably
funny.
to make out or bang, because
Which is really funny because she's not with him anymore and he's still pining after Rogue, so whatever. But that's the X-Men like soap opera dynamics for you.
Look, he's a horn dog. He's got that dog in him, as they say. he's got to fix his little icicle problem, if you know what I mean.
Well, he could probably fix that if he finally just admitted that he was gay, but
Was he like until Bendis later on and made him gay? Were there ever hints he was gay? Like I think you said Claremont wanted him to be gay, right?
Well, Claremont didn't do anything with Iceman in his run. Like famously, like Iceman was the only member of the original X-Men that Claremont like did not really touch at all. Like even Angel, he wrote for a few issues and Beast and stuff. But like if you look back at like the '90s comics, like the Scott Lobdell era of like Uncanny X-Men, they really wanted him to come out. Like there were strong hints, and like you talk to like Scott Lobdell and you like hear him in interviews, and he talks about how he really wanted Iceman to come out, but Marvel would not let them do it. And for like years too, like other writers too, like Marjorie Liu on Astonishing X-Men was really trying to like push for him to come out, and like I'm sure other writers do, but like yeah, it wasn't in the cards until finally they just let Bendis do it on all new X-Men. But that's main universe Iceman, Ultimate Iceman, for all intents and purposes, I guess is straight.
And a horn dog.
Yeah. But Kitty solidly rejects him by punching him through the door as she phases through it and punches him in the face.
Meanwhile, Flash's dad is trying to negotiate money for this whatever's going on with his son and the media. And that causes tensions with him and Flash, which there's always been a thing where like the idea is that bullies have a disruptive life at home. Not necessarily always
Yes.
the case, but it's a common trope and with some reality to it. And Flash just gets frustrated and tells like, Dad, that's more money than you have.
Yeah. No, you really get a look into Flash's home life and you're like, oh, his dad is actually like an asshole and like kind of a piece of garbage. And you can kind of see where Flash comes from and like kind of why he is the way he is. And then as Flash goes into his room and Spider-Man approaches, webs his mouth shut immediately because Flash is going to cry out. And he's like, all right, tell me everything about the people who kidnapped you and where they took you.
Mm-hmm.
And then Flash literally still has his mouth web shut. And Spider-Man's like, yeah, when the webbing dissolves. And I'm like, bro, that's going to take you at least an hour. You guys did they just sit there in Flash's room for like an hour waiting for that to
Flash
happen?
is a fanboy. He might be like asking you questions and he's
How? His mouth is web shut.
Well, sometimes when you see a celebrity you admire, you don't ask them anything, you just stare at them.
Yeah.
Like you in Claremont.
I talked to him. I didn't just stare at him.
You did stare at him for like a few hours.
For context, Josh and I met Chris Claremont last year at New York Comic Con, and it was incredible, and I did not expect to see him there.
Because he wasn't on the list.
Yeah, I didn't see him on the website, but anyways, I talked to him. I did not just stare at him.
You stared at him for like an hour, remember?
When we were waiting in line.
I think you're adding way too much context. If you...
That's the problem, too much context.
Yeah.
But yeah, Spider-Man then goes to the scene of the kidnapping afterwards, and that's where he's confronted by Silver Sable and her wild pack, and a fight ensues, and it's really cool because you get to see Spider-Man like easily take down all of them. Like they're skilled fighters and mercenaries, and they have all these gadgets and everything, and he like trounces them.
Which wouldn't have happened like even a while ago. Like he has trouble with Elektra, he has trouble with ninjas, he has troubles with like experienced mercenaries and cops. Now he's just like kicking him around, and he goes like, "You guys are a joke," and he goes like, "And I fought Kraven the Hunter."
Yeah, which is such a funny line because Kraven in this version is a joke.
He gets an upgrade later, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does, but still, like, he still ain't shit.
Yeah, and Sable goes like, "Look, we're just trying to talk to you." And I'm like, "That's a lot of effort to talk to him." And Spider goes like, "Unless her name is Kelly Ripa, I'm not interested."
Yeah, and I had to look up the name because I had no idea who he was
talking about. You don't know
who
Kelly Ripa is?
And then I found out, oh, Regis and Kelly. Okay, that makes sense. I didn't know her last name.
I think she's still on air.
I didn't know Kelly.
Didn't it reveal she and Regis had an affair?
Oh, I have no idea.
Just saying, if your significant other ever becomes a talk show host with a co-host, keep an eye on the other person. If you become a co-host, know where your loyalties lie and be really clear and really clear about that.
All right, PSA to everyone listening, please. Yeah. If you ever become a talk show, beware of your co-hosts.
Joe and Mika. Though I have a feeling everyone knew they were banging behind stage anyway.
Yeah. But yes, then Silver Sable like hands him the phone. She's like, "Our employer wants to talk with you," and he's got everyone right where he wants them. He's got them all webbed up, but Peter dials the number, and it's booby-trapped though, and it blows up and knocks him out. And so the issue ends. Issue 88 ends with Sable telling one of her wild pack to cut them out of this, and her guy's like, "I left the knife in the van," which is a really funny line to end the issue on.
It's also something I wonder because I'm like, the webbing dissolves semi-fast, and I'm like,
yeah,
Peter might just wake up before then if you're not careful.
Yeah, honestly, like I hope he's not awake in an hour. Issue 89 starts with like the art style on this, the way that Mark Bagley does this is really cool because it's kind of like a watercolor storybook origin that they do for Silver Sable, like throughout this issue. So it starts off and like you can already tell visually this is so different, but it tells the story of Silver Sable, this little girl. She got into fights as a kid and she was really angry because her dad was never really around and
her mom drank.
Yeah, and her mom drank, and so she got into a lot of fights, but one day, like years down the line as an adult, she got approached
or a teen,
yeah, or a late teen, who knows.
And you could tell she's around 30 now because her late teen, early 20s looks like a punk, and I'm like, that's an 80s, 90s look.
But she's approached to visit her dying father, and her dad explains that he was a Nazi hunter, which is why he was never around, which is probably the best possible explanation your dad could give you as to why he was never around.
That's BS. I know that was like a thing like in the 50s. I'm like, I bet he's making it up to make her feel better.
You think he was like, oh shit, I gotta connect with my daughter, but I don't know how to like make her feel better about me never being around.
Like,
Oh, I
yeah,
know. I'll tell her I'm a Nazi hunter.
yeah, like in the 90s and 80s, what Nazis were around? Old people?
I'm sure. I mean, to be fair, to this day, there's still factions of Nazism around, unfortunately.
Yeah, but like Nazi hunters don't go for the ones, they go for the original Nazis, who are all like 99, 100 now.
Yeah, so he had an easy job, I guess.
It's like, yeah, I fight Nazis because I can't fight back anymore. Which
I
is
went
like,
to the
yes,
retirement home. Yeah.
look, yes, I'm glad they're getting justice, but also I'm like, I'm not gonna be that impressed because this guy looked grizzled. He had a beard. He had an eye patch, and I'm like, dude, you hunted old people.
It was
Come
a
on.
vicious battle at the nursing home, the retirement home. They
Yeah,
gave him no quarter.
yeah. The guy coughed on him.
Yeah, and he lost his eye because of it. It got infected.
There's a show Going Dutch where they're hunting down this Dutch guy who was like a Nazi back in World War II. They track him down to his house and they're like, yes, we're gonna fight evil, and he's just super old. And when they touch him,
Yeah.
he immediately has a heart attack.
Yeah.
And they're like, I forgot, World War II was a while ago.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
And yes, I'm aware Nazis are back. Nazi hunters don't
Unfortunately,
go after them. Yeah, because those
they
guys are legal now.
fortunately, yep.
Yeah.
A lot of unfortunately's in there. But
Yeah.
yeah, Silver Sable, her dad is like, yeah, I want to like pass my skills on to you. But of course he dies. So then afterwards, Sable approaches her father's friends and like asks them all to like teach her like how to train her really
To fight
to
old
be a
people.
mercenary and to fight old Nazis. And then back to the present day, we cut to Silver Sable and her wild pack presenting Spider-Man to Mr. Roxxon, and they unmask him, which rip, but he's like shocked at how young Peter is.
It's like, are you 12?
Yeah. And he says that line from Spider-Man 2 when he's like, he's just a kid, no older than my son.
And they're like, it's like, you guys brought me another kid. You guys messed up again. They're like, no, this is the real guy. And Roxanne was like, you know who I am? Spider-Man goes, no. It's like, you guys got the wrong guy. It's like, is this you? He has a video of him fighting and rescuing the Roxxon ship. And he goes like, no, that was me, but I don't know who you are.
Yeah, like they show so many instances from previous issues that they showed us before where Spider-Man has like stopped a bad guy from like attacking Roxxon and attacking their corporation. Mr. Roxxon's like, why do you keep helping me? And Spider-Man's like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And he's like, what are you doing there then? He's like, I'm just helping. I'm doing the right thing. Like, I'm saving lives. I'm fighting criminals. Like, he had no idea that he was helping Roxxon the whole time, which is so funny. He was like, I'm just being Spider-Man, you know? I'm not out to help Roxxon or anything.
I saw a bad guy, so I beat up the bad guy.
Yeah, that's just what I do. Like, I'm Spider-Man. What more do you want from me?
They try to run his fingerprints, but they find out that S.H.I.E.L.D. has them locked. And so they
Yes.
just hacked S.H.I.E.L.D. and they're like, oh shoot. Sable goes like, yeah, S.H.I.E.L.D.'s on his way. We did what you asked for. We're out of here.
Yeah, because literally they like hack into a global server to run Peter's fingerprints, and they got caught by Shield. And Nick Fury triangulates their location, and Sable's like, "All right, let's go. Shield's after us. Mission's over."
But also, mission accomplished.
Yeah, they accomplished their mission, and they're like, "All right, now that Fury's onto us, like we're out." And it's cool that he has Shield on his side. Peter's protected. I'm like, that's an advantage to being Ultimate Spider-Man.
He kind of has S.H.I.E.L.D. on his side, because then, like, Tony Stark's there, and he goes like, hey, should we help him out? And Nick Fury goes, nah, I want to see what happens. And Tony's like, it's kind of a dick move, dude.
Yeah.
He's been through a lot. And I'm like,
Fury's always doing some stupid-ass test with Peter, something that makes no sense to anyone but him.
Tony Stark is also kind of awful in Ultimates, and even he goes like, hey man, I have some awful opinions on high schoolers. Even I don't go this far.
Yeah, even Tony Stark's like, maybe we should actually take care of this guy. But then we also cut back to another like storybook origin, and this time we get one of Donald Roxxon. This is Mr. Roxxon here, and they show us how he was like a burnout party kid just because he was rich, and so he didn't have to work for anything.
And then suddenly he inherited a lot of money, like many other rich kids.
He inherited his dad's empire.
And it says, like, and he realized, oh shoot, I'm surrounded by much more vicious and smarter people.
Yeah, because I didn't pay attention in school at all. Like, I don't know how to run a company. Also, I've inherited all of my father's enemies, and I don't know what to do. Which is a really funny origin for, like, wow, this is, like, the weakest ass, like, villain we could find. Because this guy doesn't even want to be here. He's like, I was just trying to party, and now I've inherited all the enemies that come with, like, being in, like, the head of a big corporation.
And they mention them as like Justin Hammer or Also, I'm like, oh, those are some tough customers.
Yeah, those are heavy hitters. Like all the A-listers are after you.
They're also not Nepo babies. Those guys actually know what they're doing.
Those guys are actually smart. They actually understand science. Like,
I don't know what Emerson was like, but you and I went to a private school. It wasn't exactly like this, but it reminds me of what someone said. There's schools where there's two types of people: rich kids who didn't try hard to get in, and kids who are smart who got in through like grit of their teeth. And you can
Yep.
really tell in those schools.
Yeah, you can seriously tell.
Yeah,
And he
but
is the rich kid that did not try at all.
yeah, I was gonna say I actually thought Roxxon was really tough for the first few issues because he just threatened Silver Sable to her face, and this
Yeah.
just turns it on the head.
It's like, oh, you were blowing smoke the whole time. Like, you have nothing. Like, you're
Yeah.
weak sauce, man.
And Silver Sable actually, she goes like, by the way, we want our money back. I know we
Yeah.
still do it for free, but we kind of want to get paid anyway. We're not afraid of
Yeah.
you.
Actually, never mind. Pay us. I'm like, wow, okay. I thought you had honor, but now I don't know about that. Now I think you really do just want money.
Well, look, he's afraid, so why not?
Get him while he's scared.
Yeah.
Well, then Silver Sable and her wild pack try to run, but then there's a huge explosion, and then in the explosion, everyone's like falling from the building. And then you also get that storybook image, that like watercolor image, and this is a very quick, like, just because we've seen the origin of Spider-Man, but they show him saving Roxxon. And he gets a cool storybook narration about how, like, once upon a time there was a boy named Peter, and his uncle Ben taught him, with great power there must also come great
Great
responsibility.
responsibility.
And I'm like, that's all you need to know. It's
Yeah.
such a cool like panel that just like sums up Spider-Man. That's like all you need to know. Like, yeah, he's gonna save this guy.
He doesn't have necessarily this. I'm not gonna say tragic because his uncle dies. It's pretty tragic. But while the others learn these like rough, these almost apocalyptic messages, Peter just learns to do the right thing.
Yeah, that's the fundamental message. That's like, it's as simple as that. Just do the right thing.
Well, I was gonna say one of the Wild Pack members is dead, but then we get
Yep.
the first reveal of the Vulture.
Yes, this big double-page spread of the Vulture, the classic Spider-Man villain who has finally been introduced in Ultimate Spider-Man in the end of issue 89.
Was it Chameleon or Vulture that was like his first real villain?
I mean, it was Chameleon that was in.
Okay.
It was Amazing Spider-Man #1 was Chameleon, and 2 was then the Vulture.
Yeah, I read both, but I get the order confused.
But Vulture was the more interesting, exciting one, because I'm like, what kind of fight are you going to have with the Chameleon? As soon as you find out it's him, the fight's over. Just punch him and be done with it.
My favorite thing with the Vulture is that, like, I liked in comics is interesting, like this old dude that just kidnaps children and drains them of their youth. It's always interesting, but
No, that was like the 90s cartoon.
No, they adapted it into the 616 too, I believe.
I know, I remember they did that in like the 90s, like when Mark Bagley was on the main title in like the 90s Amazing Spider-Man, but I don't know about him kidnapping kids to do it though.
Or like young people. But I mean, like the first issue with him versus the Vulture's fun because Spider-Man builds like the EMP that just knocks out his wings and he crashes him.
Shows him using his brain.
Yeah, but Vulture recently I feel has just gotten like so many weird takes and upgrades that are like really interesting. Whereas a young guy, it's like Spider-Man's crush's dad.
Yeah, the Michael Keaton take on the Vulture in Spider-Man: Homecoming was fantastic. He was my favorite part of that movie.
Yeah. You get the Italian Vulture in the Spider-Verse movies.
Yeah, no, that was really fun. But the Vulture is just such a fun villain too, just because of the visuals and like the action sequences you can do with that. It's like a big aerial fight that these guys always have, which makes for a very thrilling and exciting kind of sequence for you to read or watch or what have you.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what you see here at the beginning of issue 90. It's this big splash page that it opens on, and just classic Spider-Man versus Vulture aerial action, where Spider-Man's like shooting his web at him and swinging around while Vulture's flying around. It's fun, and it's like he's surprisingly deadly for just like a bald old man with wings. Like, don't let it fool you. Like, he will take you down when given the chance.
Because like Spider-Man's a bit more aerial than many other characters, but like someone like Daredevil, if they're in the air, like it's not going to go well against a guy who could fly.
Yeah, the guy who literally has wings and will like cut you with them, like razor sharp talons.
I remember the first comic Vultures. He's like a chubby old dude, bald, and like it doesn't look high tech. It looks like he's like flapping his wings, and you're like, how is this guy in the air?
Yeah, well, it's really because of the pack in his back and not the wings themselves that keep him in the air.
Oh, but it looks silly.
Yeah, it does look silly, but a lot of writers and artists have done a lot of work over the decades to show how the Vulture is very cunning and deadly and dangerous as an enemy. and how you shouldn't underestimate him.
If I had any animal and they're like, you have to have its powers, I'll choose the vulture powers, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, fair.
They could eat rotten meat and not get sick.
You're in it for all the right reasons, Josh.
Look, I don't need laser eyes. What would I ever use laser eyes for?
But you would eat rotten meat.
I like the option if I was like stranded in the desert.
Oh my god.
What if I'm in a duel and they go like, what's your weapon? Rotten meat. Whoever eats the most.
If you have the vulture's powers, you wouldn't be stranded in the desert because you could just fly away.
Yeah, I don't want hollow bones. That sounds like miserable.
And then off in the distance, Sharon Carter of S.H.I.E.L.D. is watching this fight and reporting back to Nick Fury, who is also watching with Tony Stark. And it's very interesting how, again, he won't let Iron Man go into action because I think he's just trying to test Spider-Man or see that he can do it on his own.
Yeah, because
which is
kind
like
of a dick.
Kind of a dick, but okay, I guess I get it. And it's really funny because later on, Sharon Carter calls the Vulture. She's like talking about him, and she's like, "Yeah, he's wearing like it's like Sam Wilson's suit, but cool." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, wait a minute. Let's not go bashing the Falcon here because of that. Like, his suit's cool."
That's because she knows Sam Wilson. I bet she doesn't like him or thinks he's a dork or something.
Yeah.
And also, Sam Wilson is into robots, so that pissed off any person.
Yeah, because he just wants to get it on with Ultimate Vision.
Yeah, I'd be grossed out too.
Maybe that's just the history they have. He like spurned Sharon Carter for Ultimate Vision. It's like, sorry, this alien robot is way more attractive to me.
It's like Whitney Cummings and Peggy and Hank King of the Hill made the joke where they're like, I hate them robots. They're going to take all the men away.
And that might be what happened.
Yeah.
But then Silver Sable is also determined to finish the job here, even though they did finish the job. But I guess she just wants a piece of the action of the Vulture and Roxxon, I guess. So she's still in the fight.
Wants a scan on his equipment because S.H.I.E.L.D's always like, we want to see this suit, huh?
Yeah. So they run a scan on the Vulture and they ID him as ex-S.H.I.E.L.D. and his name is Blackie Drago, not Adrian Toomes.
But he looks like Adrian Toomes.
Yeah, he looks exactly like Adrian Toomes. He is just the bald guy with the wings. Blackie Drago was also the Vulture in the main universe, but he like stole the identity. He was like Adrian Toomes' cellmate in prison and like stole his identity in the 60s, and then like the original came back and they fought and everything. Anyways, it's weird that they chose Blackie Drago as the identity in Ultimate, but sure, I guess, why not? But this is basically Adrian Toomes. But yeah, the Vulture then starts attacking. He's like coming at Roxxon and he's about to attack him. And Sable's about to shoot Vulture, but then Spider-Man tackles the Vulture and saves Roxxon. And they're talking about the Vulture and they're like, wow, Drago's ex-S.H.I.E.L.D. That's like really hard to do.
Because it's hard to quit, apparently.
Yeah, apparently. It's hard to be ex-S.H.I.E.L.D. You're either S.H.I.E.L.D. or you're dead.
Yeah, that's some non-compete agreement.
And then Roxxon is like webbed up to like the wall of a building and he gets a call from like the mastermind of this whole situation taunting him. And S.H.I.E.L.D. triangulates the call
to Jersey.
To New Jersey.
New Jersey.
And then during the fight, Silver Sable shoots the Vulture down midair, and Spider-Man saves him.
Because he's a good guy.
Again, with great power, there must also come great responsibility.
What's interesting is usually Vulture is the guy who goes after the other old people. Because he's the one who's pissed off about some science stuff.
Yeah, but the Vulture was just a hired gun in this. He was not the mastermind.
Well, and also this isn't Toomes, so maybe.
That's true, even though he looks just like him, but whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, Spider-Man saves the Vulture and he webs him up at Rockefeller Center, which is really fun. And then Roxxon is missing from the side of the building.
Roxxon, because Rockefeller Center.
But yeah, Roxxon is missing from the side of the building. Peter can't find him or Silver Sable or any of the Wild Pack. So he's just like, fuck it, I'm going home. Because he's like, I got geometry homework to do. I gotta go. Which, fair, school is important.
Meanwhile, in New Jersey, Iron Man in his full suit and Nick Fury burst in and they meet the Tinkerer.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is the Tinkerer, really. So they find this mastermind in New Jersey. He's got a secret lab with all this supervillain equipment that's set up like pretty much all the obscure villains that have been sent after Roxxon. Like, I see a bunch of like gear and outfits. I even see like outfits for obscure villains like the Unicorn, who don't even ask. He was like an Iron Man villain from the 60s, but whatever.
Nick Fury goes like, you work for me now, or I shoot you.
Yeah, and that's the deal.
he's kind of okay with it because he goes like, "Oh yeah, I'll take that deal." And then they're like, "What is this doing?" He goes, "It's a Slayer." And Iron Man goes, "For what?" And he goes like, "Whatever you got, man." And I'm like, "Hey, Tinker, you're new to Shield. You're kind of forced. You're a little too happy to be building weapons for Shield."
Yeah. But this is very alternate Nick Fury, and it reminds me a lot of like also like Cecil from Invincible. They're both like kind
Yeah.
of shady, like government figures that do kind of nasty stuff, especially when it comes to like trying to quote unquote rehabilitate villains, basically like using them to work for them and like create weapons.
I mean, look, if there's trash pickup, man, put them to work in damage control, picking up trash.
Yeah, and like if you create weapons, like get them to work on creating spider slayers for you, I guess. Because that
Yeah.
seems like what we're building up to.
Those are always fun. Spider Slayers.
Yeah, J. Jonah Jameson thought so when he worked on the first one.
I love J. Jonah Jameson because that's not even like evil journalism. That's just like evil. Like you're just dipping your toes in supervillainy and nothing, and just to kill Spider-Man and no other reason.
Yeah, just because you hate him.
Yeah, you're not even doing it for like evil. You're just doing it for the love of the game at that point.
Yeah. But what's also interesting is that this Tinkerer, he's not Phineas Mason, the main universe's Tinkerer. His name is Elijah Stern, and he is a scientist who was fired from Roxxon R&D. It was because Stern figured out how to use vibranium as a power source, but then got downsized. And so then he used a bunch of stolen Roxxon tech and hired goons that he found online to kill Donald Roxxon. And I think it's interesting that they didn't go with Phineas Mason, which makes sense for continuity because Mason himself wasn't featured in Ultimate Fantastic Four for a few instances. So I guess they're like, let's just create our own Tinkerer. But it's cool also how they use Tinkerer and Vulture together because both of these villains first appeared in Amazing Spider-Man #2 in different stories because it was like one main story and one backup, but still cool how they did that. Might not have been intentional, but if it is, good Easter egg.
Yeah, we're hinting towards Spider Slayers because we got Spider Slayers now, and what else are they famous for? Spider Slayers.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, like, I feel Spider-Man usually, like, after his first round with them, just kind of figures out how to easily trash them.
Yeah. After a while, it's like, okay. It's kind of like all the different projects and experiments that they send after Wolverine. I'm like, all right, maybe just give it a rest now. Maybe just try something new.
It's honestly one thing I find impressive about Sentinels is that Sentinels, they're kind of generic. You go through them, but they're always symbolic of the fear mutants have. Spider Slayer's like, I designed this weapon, and the same with the Scorpion, to fight Spider-Man. And by his third time, he's like trashing them. He's easily trouncing them. And it's revealed he's even holding back because when Doc Ock takes control of the body, he almost kills Scorpion when he goes all out.
Yeah, he like punches his jaw off. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like they lose their shine after a bit. They become a generic villain you don't dedicate a comic to. He just beats him on his way home.
Yeah. No, seriously. I'm like, all right. Time to try something new.
Doesn't Doc Ock Spider-Man even just own a bunch of Spider Slayer stores and he just has his own at a certain point?
Yeah, he does have his own like army of like mini Spider Slayers or something. But then Silver Sable confronts Mr. Roxxon in his limo and asks for her money.
And if he talks, he'll never wake up, is what she says.
Yes.
He'd be sleeping with them fishes in Jersey.
Yeah. You're gonna wake up in Jersey. A dirt nap. And at the story ends with a Lifetime TV movie being made about Flash Thompson where he looks like a hero and like Spider-Man's like a loser. Like when Spider-Man shows up to his place in the movie, like he apologizes for everything that he's done to Flash Thompson and Flash is holding a baseball bat and threatening him. It's so funny. And then Peter's on the phone with Kitty, and on the other end, someone's laughing, and Peter's like, dang, like, that's kind of rude. And Kitty's like, it's not me. And you see, like, it's Wolverine laughing his ass off because all the X-Men are watching this movie.
I will say it was back then, but I think Lifetime still does well. They'll just make a movie of everything.
Yeah, that's true.
Rudy Giuliani got a movie.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
Some random preacher in Somalia got a movie. It's called Machine Gun Preacher. I don't think it's a good movie, but it's good for the name, Machine Gun Preacher.
But yeah, just true to life. Spider-Man and Flash Thompson then got a Lifetime movie.
Yeah.
And at school, everyone is praising Flash, and they're talking about how disgusting Spider-Man is, and how he's probably one of the janitors as Peter's walking by, and he's just, like, miserable.
Hey, being a janitor is a good profession. I mean, like, they deserve respect, is what I say.
Yeah, these kids should not be insulting janitors.
I also want to go to this. He's like, hey, kid, why are you insulting a janitor? You got a D in math, too. Like, you should apologize to him. You're not better than him.
Yeah.
If that is better than you, because at least he works.
Dang. Josh is
Yeah.
standing up for America's janitors.
I'm setting up for the working people of this country who, do stuff.
Yeah.
Them snotty-nosed kids. I don't know why kids, I get not wanting to be a bus driver or a janitor, but don't disrespect them. That bus driver could park his bus right now, come over there and throw you out and shoot you. You better apologize to him.
I had no idea you were going to get so fired up about this.
No, I just think kids are jerks.
Yeah. Man, all those high school flashbacks, huh?
Yeah. I never was a dick to the bus driver because, I was never on a bus in high school, and also, I had a sense of manners about
Yeah, you
working
tell 'em.
people. I'm not a socialist.
Just to make that clear.
Yeah.
But workers of the world unite. Anyways, it's a classic Spider-Man ending where he wins, but also Peter Parker doesn't because now everyone's praising Flash Thompson and also calling Spider-Man disgusting.
And also, he's complaining that that Flash got rich off of him.
Yeah, he's profiting off this. He's making fame and fortune, our Flash Thompsons, off of Spider-Man, off of Peter's, and Peter can't tell anyone about this because he's got a secret identity to protect.
Like in the MCU.
Exactly. No, yeah, like in the MCU when Peter gets his identity exposed and then Flash Thompson profits off of it, writes his memoir about being Spider-Man's alleged best friend.
Doesn't what's his face? Flash Thompson, some versions marries Black Cat at one point, or Felicia Hardy.
They dated in the 90s, yeah. And at first that was Felicia just trying to dig at Peter and kind of try and make him jealous, even though Peter was literally married at the time. But then actually she ended up falling for Flash and developing feelings for him. They were a thing for a while, but yeah, they ended up breaking up for whatever reason. I can't remember off the top of my head.
Cuck Thompson.
I mean, Peter was literally married to Mary Jane, so I don't think anyone was getting cucked.
I don't know. If you have an ex, and even if you're married and one of your friends or bullies then dates your ex, it's a little weird. It's a dig.
But I don't really think Flash knew that they were exes because he really dated her as Spider-Man, so...
Oh, true. But Flash knew his identity by then, I believe.
Yeah, but Flash didn't.
True. Does Flash know now?
I think he knows now, yeah, because he was Agent Venom for a while.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's it for these issues. Any final thoughts, Josh?
No, this is a great classic Ultimate Spider-Man. This is a great classic Spider-Man thing. I think he had all the hits, he had the quips. You just seen how much Peter Parker has grown as a person.
Yeah.
You see S.H.I.E.L.D. getting into shenanigans, and it's really nice to see Spider-Man kick butt for once instead of being tossed around like a ragdoll.
Yeah, no, it's great to see him kick some butt. Cool to see the introduction of Silver Sable and the Vulture. It's cool to see some fun fight sequences and just see the stakes high of Peter and his identity being in jeopardy and him trying to navigate that, and then the classic Spider-Man tropes of mistaken identity and Flash Thompson gaining from Peter's success as Spider-Man and profiting off that. So that was really fun.
Yeah.
But next time, we will be talking about more Ultimate Spider-Man, issues 91 through 94, the Ultimate Deadpool arc, which I'm very excited for.
People love Deadpool. We're going to have to advertise this now.
Yeah. No, this is going to be, we're going to have to hype this up beforehand.
Yeah.
But until next time, Josh, where can our listeners get in touch with us if they want to reach out about our podcast, the comics we read, comics in general, or anything else?
As you said earlier, the Ultimate Comics Podcast at gmail.com. No, the Ultimate Comics Podcast at gmail.com. Podcast singular, comics plural.
That's right. Also follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, all at Ultimate Comics Podcast. You can like our reels, our TikToks, the images we post on Instagram, and just follow our podcast on YouTube too, where we post full episodes with video. We're also available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcast just to listen. But until next time, take care, everyone, and make mine Ultimate Marvel. Bye-bye.